If Star Wars failed, nobody would have been surprised. Not the studio, not the cast, not even the director. Imagine if you've ever had an idea nobody believed in, if you've ever been told this won't work. Then this story is already about you. Here are 20 crazy facts about Star Wars, A New Hope, and why it nearly disappeared before it ever changed your childhood. In 1977, A New Hope wasn't a guaranteed classic. It was a weird space movie with no stars, no franchise, and no safety net. No cinematic universe, no sequel promise, no proof audiences would care. Because almost everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Rejection, broken equipment, secret affairs, creative doubt. At multiple points, this movie felt cursed, and somehow, it still worked. This is where the fun begins. Number 1, Hollywood didn't want Star Wars. When Star Wars was finished, major theater chains didn't want it. Sci-fi was box office poison. Unknown actors, no franchise? No thanks. Fox had to force theaters to take it by bundling it with movies they actually wanted. Some cinemas only agreed to screen it once per day. Picture this. You've spent years of your life on something. You believe it'll change cinema, and you're told it's not even worth showing twice. One screening per day, like they were doing Fox a favor. The movie that would make $775 million was treated like garbage. And that rejection, that's nothing compared to what almost happened before cameras even rolled. Number 2, the movie that almost never existed. George Lucas had to fight just to get Star Wars made. Studios didn't understand it, didn't trust it, didn't see the point. Executives sat across from him and said, "This is childish. Nobody cares about space. This budget is insane for..." What is this exactly? Have you ever had to defend something you love to people who just don't get it? That was Lucas. For 3 years straight, he'd rewrite the script, rehearse his pitch, walk back into those rooms, and get torn apart. Again, at multiple points, Star Wars was one bad meeting away from being shelved forever, but he got one more chance. One yes. Cameras started rolling in Tunisia, and that's when the real nightmare began. Number 3, chaos on set nearly killed the film. The shoot in Tunisia was brutal. Equipment broke in the heat, the costumes overheated, special effects barely functioned, sand got into everything, the droids malfunctioned constantly, R2-D2 broke down so often, scenes had to be rewritten around his failures. This wasn't the chaos you laugh about later. This was the kind that makes you wonder if you've just ruined your career. Lucas became so stressed his health began to suffer. He'd sit alone at night wondering if he'd made a terrible mistake, and while the production was breaking physically, something else was quietly unraveling behind the scenes. Something nobody was supposed to know about. Number 4, the on-set scandal nobody talks about. During filming, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher were involved in a secret affair. Ford was around 30, married. Fisher was 19. Think about that. She was a teenager, overwhelmed, far from home. First major film, long shoots, late nights, total isolation in a foreign country. When you're that young and that lost, lines blur. The relationship stayed quiet during production, but years later, Fisher confirmed it in her memoir. That tension didn't help, especially because actors already felt emotionally abandoned on set. Because George Lucas, he wasn't exactly known for warm encouragement. Number 5, George Lucas wasn't an actor's director. Imagine you're Carrie Fisher. You're 19, first big movie. You just finished an emotional scene. You're vulnerable, exposed. George Lucas walks over. You wait for feedback, guidance, something. He looks at you and says, "Faster." That's it. Just faster. Not "good job," not "try it this way," not "you're almost there." One word, then he walks away. His direction style was minimal, sometimes painfully vague. Actors would get notes like "faster" or "more intense," with zero emotional context. Mark Hamill said it felt like Lucas was directing robots, not humans. Confusion turned into self-doubt. Self-doubt turned into frustration. And one legendary actor, he didn't just get frustrated, he started to hate the movie. Number 6, the Jedi who hated his own movie. Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, disliked the film. He called the dialogue fairy tale rubbish. He worried it would ruin his serious acting career. At times, he was openly critical on set. The irony? He became one of the most beloved figures in cinema history because of it. But Guinness wasn't alone in his struggle with the script. Another legendary actor couldn't even say the lines. Number 7, the actor who couldn't say the lines. Harrison Ford famously told Lucas, "You can type this stuff, but you can't say it." The dialogue felt stiff, unnatural, impossible to deliver, so Ford did something brilliant. Instead of fighting Lucas directly, he just adjusted, made the lines sound human, grounded, real. That instinct, that's what shaped Han Solo's dry, sarcastic personality. While Ford adapted quietly, another actor refused to stay silent. Number 8. The princess who refused to be controlled. Here's something your childhood probably never noticed. Princess Leia wasn't written by a woman. She was written by men who'd never really thought about what a female leader would actually say or do. Carrie Fisher noticed. At 19 years old, younger than most of you watching this, she walked up to George Lucas and said, "This line doesn't make sense. Leia wouldn't say this. I'm changing it." Can you imagine? A teenager telling one of Hollywood's rising directors, "No, I know this character better than you. She fought over the buns." Why would a warrior have this hairstyle in combat? She fought over the white outfit. This is impractical and you know it. She fought over every scene where Leia was just decoration. And here's the thing, she was right. The Leia you remember? The sharp, sarcastic, fearless one? That's Carrie Fisher refusing to play the script as written. She didn't just play the role, she fought for it. And that fight extended all the way to the hero's actual name. Number 9. Why Luke Skywalker wasn't called Starkiller. Luke Skywalker was originally named Luke Starkiller. The name sounded darker, harsher, more villain than hero. Lucas realized it didn't fit the hopeful tone he wanted. Skywalker felt mythic, lighter, aspirational. That single name change reshaped the character completely. And if that surprised you, this next one is even wilder. Number 10, we almost heard R2-D2 talk. Early drafts had R2-D2 speaking English. He was sarcastic, rude, constantly complaining. The idea was dropped because it was distracting. The beeps and whistles gave him personality without words. Sometimes silence says more than speech. That same creative problem solving saved the budget too. Number 11, you could actually eat the asteroids. The asteroid field wasn't CGI, it was painted potatoes, cereal clusters, random food items shot against black backgrounds to simulate space debris. Low-budget creativity did the heavy lifting, and that scrappy make-it-work mindset led to one of the most wholesome casting stories in movie history. Number 12, Chewbacca was cast because of kindness. Peter Mayhew didn't get the role just because he was 7 feet 3 inches. When he met George Lucas, he did something small, something most people wouldn't even think about. He bent down to greet him. Instead of towering over Lucas, he made himself smaller, made Lucas feel comfortable. Lucas saw Chewbacca instantly, strength paired with gentleness. That single gesture defined the character forever. Even the movie itself almost had a very different identity. Number 13, Star Wars almost had a much longer name. The original title was Star Wars, From the Adventures of Luke Starkiller. Yeah, that was almost on the poster. The studio pushed for something simpler, and that simplicity made it feel accessible. Less really is more. But Star Wars wasn't created in isolation. Number 14, the filmmaker who secretly shaped Star Wars. Before Star Wars, George Lucas was obsessed with Akira Kurosawa, especially The Hidden Fortress. That movie begins from the perspective of two low-status characters, not the hero. Sound familiar? That's R2-D2 and C-3PO. Kurosawa's visual style shaped how Jedi are portrayed, calm, disciplined warriors guided by honor and philosophy, not rage. So while Star Wars looks like a space adventure, a huge part of its DNA comes from Japanese samurai cinema, and one famous friend helped refine that vision even further. Number 15, the friend who saved the opening crawl. Brian De Palma helped rewrite the opening crawl. According to him, the original was confusing, too dense, too messy. He pushed Lucas to simplify the language, make it clear. The crawl had to explain an entire universe in 60 seconds. Without it, audiences would have been lost from frame one, and clarity mattered when your story pulled from so many places. Number 16, Star Wars was built from borrowed ideas. Lucas pulled from mythology, westerns, Flash Gordon serials, philosophy, religion. Nothing was new, the combination was, but borrowing ideas wasn't enough to make it work. For number 17, the editing room is where Star Wars was saved. The original cut didn't work. It was slow, confusing, lifeless. Marcia Lucas, George's wife, and the editing team tore the film apart and rebuilt it from scratch. They moved scenes, cut entire sequences, changed the rhythm completely. Without that edit, Star Wars would have failed. Someone loved the story enough to destroy it and make it better. And that kind of behind-the-scenes brilliance extended to one of Hollywood's most legendary deals. Number 18. The merch deal Hollywood laughed at. George Lucas gave up his directing salary in exchange for merchandising rights. Studios didn't care. They thought toys were worthless. By the early 80s, Lucas had earned hundreds of millions from merchandise alone. That money funded The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but no amount of money could settle one long-running fan debate. Number 19. Han Solo shot first. In the original cut, Han shoots Greedo without hesitation. No warning, no self-defense excuse. He just shoots. Han was morally gray, dangerous, unpredictable. That edge made him iconic. Later edits tried to soften that moment, but fans know the truth. And speaking of iconic moments, let's talk about awards night. Number 20. Oscar night changed everything. February 29th, 1978, the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Oscar night. The establishment is there. Serious Cinema, Woody Allen, Richard Dreyfuss. Then they call Star Wars, and it wins and wins and wins again. 6 Academy Awards. The movie with fairy tale rubbish dialogue. The one theaters didn't want. The one that was too childish, too weird, too expensive. That movie just conquered Hollywood, from rejected to dominating. Star Wars didn't just win awards, it rewrote the rules. Star Wars isn't just about a galaxy far, far away. It's about doubt, about rejection, about being 48 hours from losing everything. Remember that theater that only screened it once per day? Remember Lucas being one meeting away from losing the project? Remember Carrie Fisher at 19, fighting for her character? Those moments, they're why you have a childhood. The things that seem inevitable now were once impossible, until someone refused to let them die. If you enjoyed this rewind, hit like, subscribe for more iconic movie deep dives, and drop a comment with your favorite Star Wars fact. See you in the next one. May the Force be with you.